So as we all know, the Crash Bandicoot series was remade for current generation not too long ago. 3 well-crafted remakes of the beloved PS1 classics. Once released, people were wondering, would the same treatment be done for the Crash Team Racing series? Then on December 6, 2018, the world was introduced to Crash Team Racing, Nitro Fueled. Honestly, I was really excited. I loved this game growing up, and when I had a PS3 I rebought it and played through it again too. I would often say that this game is better than Mario Kart. Don't get me wrong, Mario Kart is a fantastic game, but Crash Team Racing, there's just something that feels right about it, I don't know. As amped up as I was, I kept my pre-launch hype to a minimum. I really didn't want to spoil anything. I just ended up watching lots of clips of the original game, and recently I rebought this game for the Nintendo Switch. As playing this game on the go sounds like an amazing idea in heaven, so yeah, why not? This game has been out for quite a while, and it's still being supported regularly by Beanox with lots of free content. And microtransactions. Yeah, they seeped their way into this one too, but you know, it's kind of whatever at this point. We're just gonna have to deal with it. But they're not mandatory for everything, so it's not the end of the world. But I'm just gonna get straight to the point. You guys all see the video title. Crash Team Racing is one of my favorite games of all time. I find myself playing this game almost every day, even if it's just for a few races. It's just really addicting. I can't even explain why. But before we can continue, please drop a like so I know that you guys like this type of content, and let's go. Now the first thing I noticed here were the amazing visuals. Like seriously, we've benefited greatly from the HD upgrade. Many of the character models and tracks look so beautiful, full of color and life, very expressive. Like it's an amazing feeling to see the difference from what we had into what we have now. But we all know that visuals alone can't carry a game. How does it play? Well, I am happy to report that the game controls beautifully. It feels a little different than the original game, especially when trying to perform a trick in the air for a speed boost. It took me about 2 hours to fully adjust to it. It was a little awkward, I'm not gonna lie. But once you get past it, it feels great. Every turn I knew it was my fault if I didn't do it correctly. But it feels great to have amazing controls because when you do maneuver around those crazy corners and maintain your reserves through a speed boost, it's an amazing feeling, I'm not gonna lie. And don't even get me started with tracks like Engine Labs, Hot Air Skyway, Cortex Castle, Sewer Speedway. It's amazing to see how much time and effort were placed into some of these races so you can really get your value out of it. Yes, all of the tracks from the original were remastered. A lot of them have new added instruments to give it some new flair. My personal favorite being the Tiger Temple remix. Now you see, when it comes to the mechanics, Crash Team Racing is a little more complicated than the standard kart racer. You see, well, I like to say it has a more engaging drift system. You really need to nail that speed by drifting around the track. You see those flames behind the kart? There's different levels to them, and you can actually increase that level by drifting around the track, and if you do that, you build what is called reserves. You see, with reserves, the more that you have, the longer you'll go once you hit a turbo, and once you run out, the turbo stops. You'll always want to have as much reserves as possible, so in the event you have a lot of fire, you can keep it going. The highest level the flame could go is a bright yellow flame called Sacred Fire. However, on certain tracks you can actually go up a level to Ultimate Sacred Fire, and that's represented with that big blue flame right behind you. You go so fast, you just fly through all the opponents if they don't have it themselves. It's just really hard to control, but it feels so good if you're able to make it around a whole lap controlling the fire. It takes a lot of practice, and it's 100% mandatory if you want to like complete the entire game. But I'm telling you, if you put the time in, it's definitely worth it. Some of the best memories of the game are just going through the track and trying to get the best times in the time trial mode. And yes, there is a story mode. You see, all these tracks are connected in what's called the adventure mode, where you race in an effort to stop the evil Oxide from turning the Earth to a parking lot. Yeah, so as you can expect, it's a racing game. You don't really go in for the plot with this stuff. You just gotta do what you gotta do to get him out of here. So you do that by defeating all the bosses. The easiest boss being Ripperoo shouldn't be too hard. Essentially for all the bosses, what you want to do is stay ahead of them, because once you're behind them, it's a nightmare. Well, you see, they spam items behind them because they think it's okay to break the game's code, so if you're behind them, you're going to have a rough time. I would suggest you just restart, to be honest. So actually, once you defeat Oxide, you're not quite done. You gotta go back and do the relics and the CTR tokens. You may be asking yourself, what is a CTR token? You see that thing on the top of the screen, the 3 letters? Collect 3 of them and get first place. You earn the CTR token. You gotta collect those. You also have to collect all the relics for each track. you get one by breaking the cards and stopping the time. I'm gonna be honest, it can get a little repetitive because you gotta go back and repeat races. Like first you gotta beat them to get the trophy, then you gotta do the relics, then the CTR tokens, then the gems, and then you gotta redo Oxide. So there's a lot of repetition, but the gameplay is a lot of fun. So honestly, you don't really notice it unless you're doing like 2 back-to-back playthroughs. So obviously a lot of people don't do single player in 2019 anymore, but honestly, you know, the adventure mode is worth your time. It's a good way to help build your skill level too, because going online, if you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna get smoked. And speaking of online, the matchmaking can honestly use some work. On PS4 and on Switch, I find myself waiting in lobbies and constantly being thrown out and kicked out of all these different sessions. I don't even know what's happening. I mean, it works, but I honestly expect better. And the issue is, in order for you to get the most Wumble coins, you're going to want to race online, because the offline rate is really low. They really need to fix that. And it's because it's low that people are complaining about the microtransactions, because if you just race online, you'll never be able to unlock everything. You're going to have to play like 24/7. However, on a brighter note, there was a lot of new content here. Like seriously, they included all the tracks from Crash Nitro Kart and a lot of brand new characters, all of them from that game, and new being added every month. And guys, to conclude, at the end of the day, I honestly feel like that this is one of the greatest kart racers ever made. I really think anyone should give it a shot, especially if you play Mario Kart. It's a little harder to get into. Mario Kart is definitely a simple game, but I really encourage you to stick it out and try it. Don't be afraid by the difficulty. I know the boss battles can be a little intimidating, but stick it through, trust me. And if you enjoyed this type of content, please drop a like so I know like what you guys would want for the future. And take care. Thank you.